I came across this CNN article and I simply could not resist commenting on the topic. Kayleigh McEnany, seen here, apparently looking at what is in front of her, but in reality thinking about how she can paint another one of her whoppers in keeping with the world-class gaslighting machine that she is. When she took on the job of press secretary during the Orange Menace regime, I remember she told the members of the press with a totally straight face that she would always tell them the truth. Right, yep, we saw that for sure. We saw a couple of years of truth after truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth. As Siliza, the CNN reporter, says, she went on Fox News recently because Fox is where gaslighting specialists dwell and thrive, and she proceeded to try to capitalize on the Afghanistan crisis by saying that when her boss, the incompetent Orange malfeasant, was president, we didn't see crisis after crisis. You just didn't see it. Right, we got it, Kayleigh. We didn't see nothing. We didn't see your mentally deranged boss try to extort a foreign country and get impeached for it. We didn't see him incite an insurrection and get impeached for it again. And we definitely didn't see him pondering the internal use of household disinfectants to combat COVID. And we certainly didn't see him abandon the Kurds in Iraq so that the Turks could shoot at them with impunity. And best of all, we didn't see him when he told Bob Woodward in the spring of 2020 that he knew COVID was lethal and then told us all the truth, that it was no big deal, that we shouldn't wear masks, etc. Exactly, the truth. Nothing but the truth. And as a result, only maybe close to 500,000 people died on his watch. But of course, Kayleigh would say, none of those constitute a crisis. Those are just Democratic talking points. It is simply amazing how Trump and his allies are so desperately trying to whitewash the absolutely horrifically and insanely incompetent presidency he administered. They just look at you with a straight face and tell you up is down, right is left, big is small, and basically whatever you're perceiving isn't. It's really their Alice in Wonderland tale you should see. And of course, even worse, millions out there are willing to hallucinate in this way because in some cases consciously and in many more unconsciously, they are wired to their white identity politics and deep racial prejudice, so that following a portly orange dumbass and a fast-talking bimbo is totally okay, since whatever they say doesn't really matter. What matters is, come what may, they'll make sure them immigrant invaders take the blame for everything. For gaslighting, you would normally spot Neptune doing something major, but since it is not the case with this chart, for which I have no birth time, I have to believe it must be made important by the birth time. This woman is much too professional a gaslighter for the planet on the low end of deception to be anything but prominent. Interesting to see Pluto, part of a T-square squaring Mars, opposing Jupiter, and yet to transit through that Mercury-Sun-Aries conjunction, which it will from right around now until 2025, which is plenty of time for her to get in the kind of trouble she deserves. Pluto can be a fabulously transformative planet when you play it straight. But if you dabble or gorge yourself on the low end of Pluto through fascism and gangsterism, then you're basically making karma that will come back to haunt you. Of course, I'm sure she was quite burned by the 2020 election loss and the consequent termination of her press secretary credentials, which would be Saturn moving through that T-square all through 2021 to remind her that no, he doesn't always win. In fact, he almost always loses. But hey, who cares? When you're a professional gaslighter, you just say it didn't happen. He won, right? So you say, and so he says, and round the gaslighting merry-go-round we go.